Manchester United are back in talks with Burnley and Monaco over the potential signings of Youssouf Fofana and Sander Berge. Some reports this evening are suggesting that United are going to go back in for Jarrad Branthwaite with a £60 million bid being prepared and McTominay exit looking more likely. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 2,000 likes on this evening's episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're literally just about to hit 37,000 subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. Let's make sure we hit 37k by the end of today. Right, I want to start the show off with some positivity because I always try to bring the positivity and the non-toxic energy. And the news I've got for you right at the beginning of the show is that Matthijs de Ligt and Mazraoui have just completed their medicals at Manchester United. This has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. They've both passed the medical and they are going to become Manchester United players. I'm honestly absolutely buzzing about this deal now. Now that it's really sunk in, I think it's such a good bit of business. I really do. I think I think de Ligt is going to be unbelievable. I think Mazraoui is going to be really, really good as well. So yeah, really, really happy. Both players have completed their medicals. That has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano in the last half an hour or so. Apparently they're doing the photo shoot now. And then we should get an official club announcement. I reckon it will probably be about 8 o'clock tonight. That's what is kind of being spoken about today. But Fabrizio has confirmed as well, which I think is going to please a lot of people, that both players will be available for the game against Fulham on Friday. And they should both be in training tomorrow. So they'll have training on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll play Fulham on Friday. I have to take my hat off to Ineos. I mean, I'm not actually wearing a hat, but you get the idea. I have to take my hat off to Ineos. Like, they've absolutely smashed it here, I think. To get both of these two players for 50 million is an unbelievable deal, I think. Mazraoui's 26, de Ligt is 25. De Ligt has a lot of experience. Obviously been at Ajax, Juventus, and now obviously at Manchester United. And Mazraoui, I think he's a quality player, and I think he will offer us a lot in the areas that we really struggled on with Wan-Bissaka. So yeah, Wan-Bissaka is at the West Ham Stadium right now doing his medical. Apparently he's completed the first part of his medical. He's going to do the second part probably now. So we might even get like a triple announcement. So Manchester United will announce that Wan-Bissaka's left. And I personally think that they will do a double announcement for Mazraoui and de Ligt. I honestly think it could be one of the most sickest and best received announcements ever. If they do a double announcement with Erik ten Hag, you know, with his arms around de Ligt and Mazraoui, like that will be so cool. I would love it. And I hope that they do that. I don't want them to announce it individually. I want nothing more than to see both of them kind of with Erik ten Hag. Yeah, I think it'll be really, really good. But how do you think the announcement's going to go down? Like, what's your prediction? Let me know in the comments. I think there's loads of interesting things that they could do to make this like go crazy on social media. So yeah, I just can't wait. I just feel really happy at the moment with how Manchester United's being run. I feel really positive. I feel like we're going in the right direction. I feel like we've got the right people pulling the strings. And I think our transfer business this summer so far has been absolutely unbelievable. I do. I think it's been great. Like if you look through the players that have left and you look through the players that we've signed, I don't think any of our signings are questionable. I think every single one of them is a good signing. Lenny Yoro, yes, he's injured. If Lenny Yoro wasn't injured, we would be sat here saying we've got one of the best young centre-backs in the world, right? But because he's injured, it's kind of tarnished that a little bit. De Ligt, we know how good of a player de Ligt can be, so I'm really buzzing about that. And we know how good of a player Mazraoui can be. Joshua Zirkzee, I think, is an interesting one. I think he offers us something very, very different to what we've got already. He's not a number 9. He's not a number 10. He's kind of like a hybrid. He's someone who can bring other people into the game. He's very skillful. He's very tall. He's very physical, but he's also very, very good on the ball. So, yeah, I'm just absolutely buzzing, to be honest. It just doesn't feel like Manchester United anymore. Do you know what I mean? I have to keep pinching myself because we're being run like a proper football club. When was the last time we got 2 deals announced at the same time, let alone 3? Every summer for the last decade, we would have spent 3 months talking about one player and then either we'd overpay for them or we'd sign them and they'd flop. And that was pretty much what's happened every single summer for a decade. 2-3 years ago, it was Jadon Sancho. A couple of years ago, it was Frankie de Jong. Like, It happens every single year. We focus on one player, we don't end up signing them, and then we all look stupid. But this summer, Ineos have done an absolutely unbelievable job. So I'm feeling really, really happy about that. CBK says, has anybody got an update on McTominay? Yeah, there was quite a few stories that came out earlier on today about McTominay. So let me jump straight on over to that. This is coming up from Sky Sports earlier on today. It's coming up from Darmish Chef, who is probably one of the better Sky Sports journalists. And he is reporting today that McTominay leaving Manchester United is one to watch before deadline day. So it does look like McTominay will leave Manchester United. Obviously, we know that Fulham submitted a bid last week of £23 million. I don't think that bid's actually been officially rejected yet. So maybe there's a world where Manchester United accept it. Apparently, Fulham aren't willing to increase their offer, which I think is a little bit... I don't know. I just don't understand. Like, McTominay isn't an amazing player, but if... what's he called? Some of the other players that have left this summer have gone for massive amounts of money, you know? And surely we should be able to sell McTominay for 25-30 million, I think. Like, we have to. And I think the thing with McTominay is, right, he's not a terrible player, but I just don't think he's suited to Manchester United. I think he's better further up the pitch. He's not a CDM. He's not defensive enough. And I think for that reason alone, like, we don't need McTominay as a striker. Would everyone agree? We've got plenty of options in the attacking areas now, and McTominay seems to want to be further up the pitch. Someone's saying, can you increase your volume? My volume, I can see it on my screen, my friend. It looks good, so I think you just have to turn up your audio. But yeah, so McTominay to Fulham is definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, as soon as we get more news on that, I will bring it to you. As it stands, we're waiting to Fulham to increase their bid. Whether they will or not, we'll have to wait and see. Erik ten Hag supposedly is happy to keep Scott McTominay, but I feel like he's probably just saying that. I don't know. I don't know what it is with McTominay. I don't know. Managers seem to love him. I guess he probably works hard. He's probably got a good attitude. Like, he doesn't complain. He doesn't moan. And I guess that is a good thing to have around a football club, isn't it? Somebody who's passionate and all the rest of it. But surely Erik ten Hag can see that McTominay isn't at the level that Manchester United need to be. You know? Maybe he can't. Maybe he thinks it is, but who knows? Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a little favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We've got over 1,100 people watching live now, which is amazing. We have only got 200 likes though, so if everyone could go and like the video now, that'd be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Everyone is welcome. Make sure you go and get involved. We're only 4 away from 36,700 now, so please go and subscribe, get involved. So yeah, that's the latest on McTominay. I want to now jump over to Sander Berge and Fofana. This is again coming up from Darmish Chef, and he is reporting that Manchester United are now working on a deal to sign Burnley's Sander Berge. He says they are also in open dialogue with Monaco over a potential deal for Youssouf Fofana. I'm still quite open to Sander Berge. I think he's a decent player. He's not world class, but I think he's, a good squad player. I would much rather have him in our team than McTominay, because McTominay isn't the player we need. And that's my problem with him. I don't think McTominay's an awful player, to be honest. I think he's awful as a CDM. But if you play Scott McTominay as like a number 10 or a second striker, I think he is quite useful to have. But we don't need that from him. We need a defensive midfielder. And Sander Berge is Premier League proven. Obviously won player of the season for Burnley last year. Very physical, 6'4". And I think he would be good to have as like a rotational player to swap around with Casemiro. I still think we need Manuel Ugarte or Zubimendi or someone like that as well. I don't think Sander Berge on his own is going to be enough, but if we could get both of them, I think that would be a really, really good bit of business to do. But how do you feel at the moment with the midfield? Let's do a poll, shall we? We'll get a little poll set up now and see how everybody's feeling. So it's going to be this. Who should we sign? So we'll do this. It's going to be Sander Berge. We're going to do Fofana. We're going to do Ugarte. And we're going to do Rabiot. Those are probably the most likely options. So we've got 4 options to pick from. We can go with Sander Berge, Fofana, Ugarte, or Rabiot. Those are your 4 picks for today's poll. So make sure you go and get involved. Let me know what you think. I'd probably go for Manuel Ugarte first, then Fofana, then Sander Berge, and then Rabiot. Rabiot would be my last choice option, to be honest. I just think Rabiot on massive wages at the age of 30 isn't really that appealing of a prospect. Whereas Sander Berge is like 25, Manuel Ugarte is I think 24, and I think Fofana's like 26. Like, we want someone in their mid-20s who can grow and build with Manchester United, and I don't think that Rabiot is that person. I think for me, Rabiot is just like a squad player, and I would even go as far as saying Rabiot is probably just a mercenary. He's probably just coming for the money. I'm sure he'd like to play in the Premier League, fair enough, but yeah, I don't think we can honestly say that signing Rabiot is like a sensible bit of business, really. Massive wages, no resale value. Supposedly his agent causes trouble off the field, you know. If like Rabiot doesn't get picked in previous clubs, his mum's like called out the manager saying that he doesn't know what he's doing and stuff. And like, we don't need that at Manchester United. We've had so much drama over the last decade that, yeah, like it's just a no for me. But I'd be interested to see what you all think in the poll. So make sure you get involved. Make sure you vote. Who should Manchester United sign as their next central defensive midfielder? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What I will say is this, though. I think Manuel Ugarte for 60 million is still too much money. I think if we can get him for 40, 50 million, that would be a good bit of business. But I think for 60 million, it's way too much. I don't think he's worth that. I think for someone who is surplus to requirements at PSG, them asking 60 million is just laughable. And I've said this for months and months and months. And I actually have a growing confidence that Manchester United will be able to get Manuel Ugarte for less than what PSG are asking for. I genuinely believe that, because De Ligt to Manchester United was 42 million, 42 million. That was what Bayern said. They continually told us 42 million or no deal. Manchester United made them wait a bit, and we got him for 38. And I know 38 and 42 isn't a massive difference, but it still is a difference. It still is a saving. It's still like, 10% off the asking price. So if, for example, PSG drop their asking price by 10%, 15%, that would take it down to about 50 million euros, which I still think is too much. But 50 million euros, 40 million pounds for Manuel Ugarte is not terrible. Whereas I think 60 million euros is far too much for me personally. As much of a good player he is, I think it's a joke. He's not worth 60 million, never. Especially for someone they want to get rid of, someone they want to sell. It's not like he's starting every single week for PSG and they don't want to sell him and they're asking for 60 million. Like, they're asking for 60 million for a bench player who's literally never going to play now, ever, because of, what's he called? João Neves coming in. So, yeah, I just think it's a bit stupid, to be fair. But we'll wait and see how it kind of materialises. We'll wait and see whether Manchester United end up getting him. I wanted to react to something as well really, really quickly. And you know I like to call stuff out on this channel. And I saw a clip pop up on my Twitter feed earlier on today, and it was everybody's favourite pundit, Graham Souness. He is honestly one of the worst pundits I think they have on the telly. He is awful. I feel like he's completely clueless. He goes on this whole narrative that because he was a footballer 50 years ago, when none of us were even alive, that he knows more than anybody else. Graham Souness was on TalkSport earlier on today, right? I haven't watched the full clip. I've just seen it on Twitter. And he was saying that Matthijs de Ligt is lightweight and not good enough for Manchester United. That was what he was saying. I mean, where do these people get their information from? Matthijs de Ligt was playing for Bayern Munich. He won the Player of the Season for Bayern Munich last season, I think it was, in 2023. You've got 70,000 Bayern Munich fans signing up to a petition for him not to be sold. And then you've got Graham Souness coming out saying that he's not good enough to come and join Manchester United, who finished 8th last season. Lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. How on earth is De Ligt not good enough for Manchester United? I mean, at the moment, we're an 8th place side. I think De Ligt would get into most teams in the Premier League. I do. I think he'd get into... I would even go as far as saying he'd get in the Liverpool team alongside Van Dijk. I think he'd probably get into the Tottenham team. Maybe not into the Arsenal team. Maybe not into the Man City team. But all of the other teams, like he'd get into Newcastle's team, Liverpool's team, I reckon. I reckon he'd get into Tottenham's team. Like, what is this guy on about? I just don't understand it. And these pundits' agendas is so frustrating. And I think that's why channels like this and other channels succeed and have grown in popularity, because these pundits have a place on mainstream media, you know, speaking to tens of thousands of people, and they just spout complete rubbish. Like, it was the same as Paul Scholes yesterday. As much as I love Paul Paul Scholes yesterday was trying to claim that De Ligt was a flop at Juventus and they got rid of him because he was a flop. When if you actually go back and read it, the reason that Juventus got rid of De Ligt was because they had massive losses in COVID and they needed to sell a big name player. Otherwise, they probably would have got points deducted. That was the reason why they sold him. And then for him to say that Eric Dyer's benched him, when if you actually look at the stats, Eric Dyer's played 18 times for Bayern Munich since joining them in January, right? And in those 18 games, Matthias De Ligt was his partner 14 times. Like, they just say stuff without thinking it. And then the masses will watch these videos, watch these clips, and will be like, oh, it's Paul Scholes, it's Graham Souness. They know what they're doing, you know? It's just really, really frustrating. But I guess there's not really too much we can do about it other than call it out. And hopefully in the future, I don't know. All we can do is call it out. And I know that a lot of people watching today probably don't even watch those channels anymore, you know, like the Sky Sports or the Talk Sports or any of them, because they just know that it's all just 99% of the time, they're just spouting negative stuff because they have, you know, vendettas against Manchester United. Like somebody says in the chat, Souness is very bitter and jealous of Manchester United. Exactly. You know? So, yeah. And just to be clear, like, I'm reacting to this because I've seen it on Twitter. Like, I haven't actually listened to TalkSport and heard him say it. I just saw the clip on Twitter, so I'm kind of reacting to it. But let's move on from that and let's jump on over to Branthwaite, because there was a massive story that broke earlier on today. This is being reported by quite a lot of people. Like, it's on the Manchester Evening News. It's on a couple of other kind of outlets as well. None of like the Fabrizios or the David Ornsteins have reported it, just to be fair, but it is on like Manchester Evening News, etc. And they are reporting that apparently Manchester United have reopened talks with Everton to sign Jarrad Branthwaite this summer. They're reporting that Manchester United are now planning to submit a £60 million bid this week. United have already had 2 bids rejected by Everton. I don't really understand this, to be honest. Now, the only way where I could see a reason to sign Branthwaite now is if we're going to go to a back 5. Because if we're going to go to a back 5, we need another centre-back. And we'll talk about Lindelof in a minute. We'll talk about Maguire in a minute, because there is updates on both of those 2 players who could be leaving in the next week or so. But if we go to a back 5, we probably would need someone like Branthwaite as well, wouldn't we? So, do I think this will happen? I don't think so, to be honest. Being completely honest with you, I don't think Manchester United will spend 60 million on Branthwaite, but it is a news show. I bring you the news, I give you my opinion, and then we kind of discuss it. I would sign Branthwaite. If the money makes sense and we can do the deal, 60 million over like a 5-year period, so like we only pay 12 million this summer, I would sign him, because I do think he has the potential to be one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League in like the next 3 or 4 years. Like, he is very, very good, but I don't see why we'd need him if we're continuing with the same formation. It only really makes sense if we're going to a back 5, as I said. And we didn't play a back 5 in pre-season, so there's not really any reason for us to think that we're going to go to a back 5. Although someone did tell me that apparently Mazraoui is very good as a wing-back. I think Dallo would be good as a wing-back because he's good going forward. And Luke Shaw would be good as a wing-back as well. So maybe that is what Erik ten Hag wants to do. You know, maybe he does want to just really, really strengthen the defence. Maybe he wants to change the formation. You know, maybe he's confident in the attacking players, but he wants to really, really solidify the defensive areas. And if that's the plan, then Branthwaite would be a good signing. But let me know, like, would you go and sign Jarrad Branthwaite for £60 million? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, is that somebody you think Manchester United should still be looking at? Do you think we need him? I would say this, right? At the moment, no. But once I've told you the news on Lindelof and Maguire, maybe your answers will change. Because within 12 months, whatever happens this window, in the next 12 months, Maguire, Lindelof and Johnny Evans will be gone. That's a guarantee. All 3 of those players will not be Manchester United players this time next year. 100%. So if you think that those 3 players have left, right, that would currently only leave us with Martinez, De Ligt and Lenny Yoro. That's all we'd have. We'd have 3 centre-backs. Now, is there anybody who can come through the youth academy? I'm not sure. I don't think Will Fish is ready personally, but he is obviously an option. Maybe Will Fish could come through. But at the moment, I'm not sure if Will Fish is good enough to be a centre-back for Manchester United. I don't see it in him at the moment, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being negative. I don't know. I honestly think that Willy Campoala had a better chance of becoming a starting centre-back for Manchester United than Will Fish does. So let me run through it really, really quickly and explain to you where we are right now. So Johnny Evans has got 1 year left on his deal. They're not going to give him another deal after that. Lindelof is going to leave this summer. That's all but been confirmed. There are lots of clubs in talks with Manchester United for Victor Lindelof. And Harry Maguire, apparently, Leicester have approached Manchester United for a loan deal with an obligation to buy. So there is lots and lots of chances of these three players leaving. But say none of these players leave this summer, okay? Say Lindelof stays, Maguire stays, and Johnny Evans stays, right? Let's look at the worst possible scenario, that all three players stay. This time next year, all three of those players will be out of contract. Lindelof's 30, Johnny Evans is 36, and Maguire's 32. None of them will be given new deals. So this time next year, our only centre-backs will be Lenny Yoro, Martinez, and De Ligt. That's it. Most top clubs probably have, 5, 6 centre-backs? And we'll have 3. So I can see why Manchester United are still trying to get Jarrad Branthwaite, because they can look at the situation and say, well, in 12 months' time, Maguire, Evans and Lindelof will be gone. And even then, if we got Branthwaite, we'd only have 4 centre-backs. And we'd probably need even more. So I understand where these stories have come from. Whereas if you look at our left-wing position, our right-wing position, those positions are absolutely stacked. You've got Ahmad, Pellistri, Sancho, Anthony, Marcus Rashford, you've got Garnacho, you've got Bruno who can play on the wing. There's probably somebody else I've forgotten. We've got like 7 or 8 players who can play as a right or left winger. And at the moment, we've only got 6 centre-backs at the moment, and 3 of those are leaving next summer. So we'll go from 6 centre-backs to 3 within the space of a year. Whereas in our wing positions, Pellistri, not Pellistri actually, his contract's expiring, but Ahmad, Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford, Anthony, they've all got long deals. They're not going anywhere. So I can see why the Branthwaite stories are still there, but I'm not sure that Manchester United will want to spend 60 million right now. If they could do the deal over 5 years, then maybe. But I can understand the logic. We are going to be without 3 players this time next summer. And all of those players need to leave. Lindelof, Maguire and Johnny Evans, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't know. And maybe they're worried that somebody else is going to come and try and sign them. I could see someone like Man City going in for someone like Jarrad Branthwaite, kind of repeating what they did with John Stones. So yeah, that's the story on that one. £60 million is what is being reported. To be honest, I wouldn't put anything past Ineos anymore. I wouldn't. Ineos are constantly surprising me this transfer window. So yeah, at the moment, there are murmurs saying that Man United are going to submit another bid. Will it happen? Who knows? But obviously it's a news show, so I bring you guys the news. We've got over 1,500 people watching now, which is amazing, everybody. Thank you so much. If you could all do me a small favour and hit the like button, that'd be really, really appreciated. The more people who like the video, the more that YouTube will show this to other people. So please do make sure to go and like. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel as well. We're literally about to hit 37k subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, go and subscribe. Make sure you get involved. Okay, let's move on from that and let's jump on over to Facundo Pellistri. So the news coming out in the last couple of minutes is that apparently Bologna are in talks to sign Felindo. Who's Felindo? Bologna are in talks with Manchester United to sign Facundo Pellistri, who they see as a potential replacement to Ndoye. Obviously, Ndoye is the player we were linked to earlier on in the window, Swiss international. Apparently, he's set to leave the club this summer, and they see Pellistri as a potential replacement. Now, there was these stories a couple of weeks ago saying that Manchester United were going to go for this Ndoye guy. I'll be honest, I'd only ever really seen him at the Euros, but from what I've heard, he is a very, very good player. He is somebody who's going to leave Bologna this summer. Obviously, we've already got a very good relationship with Bologna after buying Joshua Zirkzee from them. And I think Pellistri could do a really, really good job over in Serie A. So I wish Pellistri nothing but the best. I feel a little bit sorry for him. I feel like his career has kind of gone backwards at Manchester United. He's not a young player anymore. I think he's 22, 23 now, Pellistri. he's at an age where he should be playing every single week. So, yeah, I wish Pellistri all the best. I hope he gets his move to Bologna. Transfer fee-wise, apparently Manchester United are asking for around £10 million. So it's not massive amounts of money, but it will obviously make a difference in our financial fair play situation. Ant says, would you bring in Hato from Ajax if we can get him? I think he's a generational talent. Yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah, I would definitely like Hato from Ajax. I think he's quality. But yeah, so it looks like Pellistri to Bologna is one to keep an eye on. Obviously, at the moment, it's all just talks. We need to know how much money it's going to be. We need to know the terms and all the rest of it. But there is a genuine interest there from Bologna. So I'll obviously keep you updated on that one as and when we get more news. I'm just going to see if we've got any questions in the comments section today. Let's have a look what people are saying. Hassine says, why is Jadon Sancho not leaving this summer? The thing is, right, Manchester United want to sell Jadon Sancho. That's been widely reported, okay? Sancho wants to leave Manchester United, but there isn't a buyer. PSG have just gone and signed Desiree Doué. That's been confirmed by Fabrizio. He plays in the same position as Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho was obviously an option for PSG, but nothing more than an option. Now, there's always going to be the links with Juventus and Dortmund, but both of those two clubs were doing loan deals and, you know, loans with obligations to buy for pathetic amounts of money. Unless we're going to get 45 million for Sancho, there's not really that much point in selling him because we will have to replace him. So, you know, it's easy for us to say, why isn't Sancho leaving? The fans want him to go, the club want him to go, and the player himself wants to go. That's pretty fair to say. But unless there's a buyer, we can want Sancho to leave. But if no one's going to pay the money for him, then he's not going anywhere. And I don't think Manchester United will sell him off on the cheap because there is still a player there in Jadon Sancho. I know he's annoyed the fan base. I know he's disrespected us. And I know the mood towards Jadon Sancho is pretty negative, which is fine. That's fair enough. And I get it. But he is still an asset to the club. We did still spend £73 million on him 2 years ago. And it is realistically Erik ten Hag's job and Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Hart and all of the coaches to get the best out of Jadon Sancho. They should be doing that. Whether or not he needs to leave or not is irrelevant. There isn't anybody to buy him. So they need to just put all of that aside and effectively do their jobs. They need to do their jobs and motivate Jadon Sancho to show us what he showed us when he was a Dortmund player. And that's what they need to do. There is obviously the potential later on in the window that someone comes in for him. There are some murmurs that apparently Tottenham are interested in Sancho. Sancho apparently wants to return to London. You know, that is one that could potentially happen. But there's a lot of if, buts and maybes there. We know that Tottenham have just signed Dominic Solanke. Are they going to want to spend another 50 million on Jadon Sancho? Maybe not. Maybe they need to strengthen in other areas. We know that Ange Postecoglou really wants to bring in players this summer, so maybe Sancho is one of them. But at the moment, I think Sancho leaving is probably quite unlikely, if I'm being completely honest. But crazy things can happen, you know? We might wake up tomorrow and it might be that Tottenham have put in a bid for Sancho or PSG have put in a bid for Sancho. Like, anything can happen. There is definitely interest in him, but it's just whether that interest will actually translate and convert into a sale. That's the $1 million question. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that. And I don't think anybody does at this point. Right, the next story I've got for you is on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And you're probably thinking, why the hell are you talking about this guy? So the news coming out from Darmish Chef is that apparently Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one of the names that Manchester United are looking at to strengthen their forward line this summer. How does everybody feel about that? Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 27 years of age. I'll be honest with you, if this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said, yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I just think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is pretty average, to be honest. And does he not have an absolutely terrible injury record? Like, awful. Let me have a look. I feel like he was injured for... Yeah, I mean, his injury record is absolutely appalling. Last season wasn't too bad. He only missed 6 games, which is not bad at all. The season before that, he missed 29 games with a hamstring injury. And then the season before that, he missed another 34 games with a hamstring injury. It's the same injury every single time. Yeah, for me personally, I would not sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't think he's very good. His injuries concern me. I think he's average. I mean, if he was going to cost us like 5 million 10 million, I would maybe consider it as like a backup option. But Everton are going to want a transfer fee for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you know? They're going to probably want 20, 30 million for him. There is one interesting fact, though, here. He has only got 1 year left on his contract, and apparently he's refusing to sign a new deal at Everton. So there is always the potential that somebody goes in for him later on in the window. That's what, obviously, Sky Sports are reporting this evening. And Sky Sports have said that Manchester United are likely to reinforce in that area if players are sold. And then they go on to say that he's into the final year of his contract and he doesn't want to sign a new deal. So if someone like Jadon Sancho leaves, Dominic Calvert-Lewin could be a reality, you know, or it might be a Ivan Toney, or it might be, I don't know, Evan Ferguson or someone like that. Like, those are kind of the names that we've been linked to. And if we were playing FIFA now, or if this was like a hypothetical world, I would personally sell Sancho if there was an offer there for him, and I would bring in another striker, but it wouldn't be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I would probably bring in Evan Ferguson, just because I think he has the potential to be world-class in the future, 19 years of age. And so I would go for him. But again, there's a lot of if, buts and maybes there. Obviously, you have to sell Sancho first. Is there going to be anybody who comes forward to him? Probably not. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that one, and we'll wait and see how it progresses. Let's see what else people are saying in the comments section this evening then. Diogo says we should have gone for Solanke. I don't know. I don't really rate Solanke either, to be honest. He had a good year last year, but if you actually look at Solanke's goal scoring records over the last, like, however many years, like, he's pretty average. Ash says you support Sancho too much. His behaviour was awful and he should apologise to the fans. Surely you don't think his behaviour was acceptable? You obviously don't watch the show very, very often, my friend, because I am very, very critical about Jadon Sancho. I said it was a disgrace. I said he should never play for Manchester United again. But what can't happen is Manchester United have a £73 million asset on their books, Jadon Sancho. He's on 250k a week. What would you do with him? Like, I don't really understand what you want me to say. Erik ten Hag's job is to manage the players. Would we all agree on that? Erik ten Hag's job is to get the best out of the players. Manchester United can't sell Jadon Sancho. Nobody wants to buy him. That's a fact. Otherwise, someone would have bought him by now. So, to say that I'm being too supportive of Jadon Sancho, like, that doesn't really make sense. The alternative, if you want to go down that narrative, is that you pay Jadon Sancho to leave, right? You get no transfer fee for him and you say, thank you and goodbye. If you wanted to do that and throw Jadon Sancho out, he's got 2 years left of his contract and he's owed £13 million per season in wages. So if you wanted to kick Jadon Sancho out and to go on the dramatic approach, you'd have to pay him £26 million to leave and you'd get no transfer fee. Like, that's not realistic. That's not how football clubs are run. There isn't any alternative at this point. The only alternative we have is for Erik ten Hag to do his job, Erik ten Hag to try and get the best out of Jadon Sancho, and then hope that in the next windows, somebody comes in to buy him. That's all we can do. If someone offered us money, I would sell him. But at the moment, there isn't anybody offering us money. So, yeah, that's the situation with Sancho. Eon says... Oh, I think it's... Is that pronounced Owen? Owen, I think. Owen says, loan him to PSG as part of the Ugarte deal. Mate, I would do that in a heartbeat, but it's hypothetical, isn't it? You know? I would absolutely love for Jadon Sancho to leave, but... We can't force PSG to take him. It's just not how football works, is it? So, yeah, that's the situation with Sancho. As much as I would like him to leave, it's pretty much impossible to force him to leave without paying him vast amounts of money. Right, let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Amnat says, Kieran, I think Ineos are doing pretty decent work, so we have to be patient. It's only the first window and Ineos need your thoughts. Oh, mate, 100%. Just because we've signed Ligt and Mazraoui, I still think we're going to be battling for top 8. Honestly, I do. And that's not being negative, it's being realistic. I hope I'm proved wrong. I hope we win the title, we win the Europa, we win everything, and, you know, you're all sat there saying, I told you. I would love for that to happen. But I honestly still think, even with De Ligt and Mazraoui, we're still going to be battling for top 8 because there's so many plugs to fill in our team still. We need a new left back probably. We need maybe 1-2 central defensive midfielders. We maybe need another striker. We arguably need another winger. And that's not, you can't do that all in one window. It's going to take at least January and next summer to get us to a position where I think, yeah, we should be winning the league. Yeah, we should be competing, you know? That's what I think anyway. Because all of the teams in that top 8 are so competitive. Like, look at last season's top 8, right? We finished 8th. And every other team above us in last season's Premier League, Man City have got a better squad. Arsenal have got a better squad. Liverpool have got a better squad. I would argue Aston Villa have got a better squad now. Tottenham maybe don't have a better squad. Chelsea definitely have a better squad. They've got about 40 players. Newcastle, I would say, don't have a better squad. But so out of last season's top 8, I would say all of them have a better squad apart from Tottenham and Newcastle. So based on that logic, if you're going off what squad you have at the beginning of the season, I would say Man City to win the league, Arsenal second, Liverpool third, Chelsea fourth, I reckon. If they get their act together, they've got the players to do it. And then I'd say Man United or Aston Villa fifth, Tottenham, Newcastle after that. That's realistic based on the squad we have. So I don't know what people's expectations are for next season. There's probably some people who think because we've signed De Ligt, we have to win the league next season, you know? Yeah. But I still think we've got a long way to go, personally. Lucas says we should sign Jonathan David for 25 million. Yeah, that would be interesting. And Macmillan says everyone is saying that Bayern must come in for Sancho now that they missed out on Doué. He says that no way Bayern will pay him those wages. I don't think the wages would be a problem for Bayern. I just think that Bayern will have seen the situation at Manchester United and will be like, I don't want a repeat of that at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich pay huge wages. Harry Kane's on $500,000 a week. Manuel Neuer's on 400,000. Thomas Muller's on 400,000. Leroy Sané's on 400,000. Wages wouldn't be a problem for Bayern Munich and Jadon Sancho. Definitely not. I just don't think they'd go for him. I don't think he has the right mentality. I don't think he has the right desire. So, yeah. I can understand the logic, though. Obviously, they've missed out on Desiree Doué, so maybe they go for Sancho. But, yeah, for me, I just can't see it happening, to be honest. And I would be honestly shocked if Jadon Sancho leaves the club now. I would be shocked. I would love for it to happen. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I just think it's incredibly unlikely at this point. Let's see what other questions we've got in the comments section. David says I'd take 5th. Beandog says I'd take 4th. James says we've got to win 1 trophy and get top 4. I mean, that's probably realistic, to be fair. My expectation for this season, I will do a season preview soon once the transfer window ends. The minimum for me is win the Europa League. We have to win the Europa League. And then I would say top 6, but play good football. If we win the Europa League and play good football, I don't really care where we finish in the Premier League, to be honest. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but obviously the Europa League, winning it gets you the Champions League. So that's fine. And the most important thing for me is to see a style of play, to see progress, and, you know, to score goals and not concede such easy goals. That's what I want from Manchester United next season. And I think that if that happens, then we will do a lot better than we did last year, obviously, you know? So, yeah, I'm not looking at next season as black and white as finish top 4. Because it might be that we finish top 4 and just play park the bus football and it's horrible to watch and, you know, and we get lucky. I don't want that. We did that in the first season, I think. First season, we played pretty pragmatic football. It wasn't particularly convincing and we managed to scrape. Was it 3rd we got? I think it was 3rd, or was it 4th? Let me check. I'm pretty sure we got 3rd in the first season, didn't we? Yeah, we got 3rd. So yeah, the most important thing for me is that we just play nice football next year and we're entertained and we see a style of play. That's the biggest tick box for me. And I think that if we do that, we'll find ourselves pretty high up the table. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a good point to end today's show. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to like the video before you leave. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. And as well, if you want to come and have more conversation with me, I am now on Twitter. I'm going to drop the link into the chat now. Come and follow us on Twitter. coming at me, start a conversation, come and say hello. Everyone is welcome. I'd love to, connect with more of you. So I've just dropped the link to the Twitter in the comment section. So yeah, make sure you go and get involved now. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow morning. If anything breaks, I will go live. So make sure the notification bell is on. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.